Ladies, let me begin with a question that might feel uncomfortable, but it is the question that so many women secretly carry in their hearts. When did you start believing that your body no longer deserved touch, pleasure, or desire? For many women, that moment happens quietly. It doesn't come with an announcement. It creeps in after menopause, when intimacy starts to feel different, maybe less comfortable, maybe even painful. It comes when society whispers that sex and sensuality belong only to the young. It comes when doctors dismiss your concerns with phrases like, "That's just aging." And over time, those whispers grow louder than your own inner voice. You start to believe that maybe your days of intimacy are behind you. Maybe pleasure, moisture, passion, and even romance were luxuries of youth. You begin to accept dryness, low libido, fatigue, and the emotional fog of postmenopause as your new normal. But here's the truth. Your story is not over. Your body is not finished, and your right to love, intimacy, and pleasure does not expire. In my 20 years as a gynecologist and endocrinologist, I've spoken with thousands of women who look radiant on the outside, women who are accomplished, wise, deeply caring, and yet they carry a silence inside them. That silence is about intimacy. They don't talk about it with their doctors. They don't share it with their friends. Sometimes they don't even admit it to themselves. But inside, they feel it. The vaginal dryness that makes intimacy painful. The loss of desire that feels like someone has stolen a piece of their soul. The feeling of invisibility, as if the world no longer sees them as women, but only as mothers, grandmothers, or seniors. This silence has a name: postmenopausal shame. And yet, millions of women are going through the exact same thing. If you are experiencing low libido after menopause, if you are worried about vaginal atrophy, if you feel like your postmenopause sex drive has disappeared, you are not broken. You are not alone. You are simply living in a culture that has never given women the permission to age with both wisdom and sensuality. Why we must talk about this. Let's be honest, women's health after 60 is rarely spoken about in mainstream conversations. We talk about wrinkles, we talk about bone density, we talk about diet. But how often do we talk about sex after 60? How often do we celebrate the truth that women over 50 are still vibrant, sensual, and worthy of deep connection? Almost never. And because we don't talk about it, women assume that intimacy after menopause is over. They stop seeking help. They stop exploring solutions like natural remedies for vaginal dryness, pelvic floor therapy, or even gentle practices of self-intimacy. They assume that postmenopausal changes are something to be endured, not something that can be transformed. But today, I want to break that silence with you. I want to show you that postmenopause is not the end of your intimate health. It is the beginning of a new chapter. Let me share with you the story of Eleanor, a 72-year-old widow who came into my clinic. She didn't come in asking about intimacy. She came in complaining of chronic fatigue, joint stiffness, and feeling like life had become flat and gray. At first, she thought maybe she needed vitamins or supplements. Maybe she needed something to boost energy after menopause. But as we talked, I discovered something deeper. Eleanor had not experienced intimacy, not even self-touch, in over 15 years. She had accepted dryness, accepted discomfort, accepted loneliness, and had quietly locked away her feminine identity. Her body wasn't tired because of age. Her body was tired because it had been starved of circulation, oxytocin, dopamine, and connection. The very things that intimacy, touch, and sensuality bring to life. When Eleanor began to reintroduce small practices, gentle pelvic floor exercises, warm baths, vaginal moisturizers, and eventually self-pleasure, her energy shifted. She started smiling again. She started walking with more confidence. She told me, "Dr. Emily, I feel like I've woken up from a long sleep. I didn't realize how much of myself I had buried." Her story is not unique. It is the story of countless women, and maybe it is your story too. The hook. Why this matters for you. So, my dear friend, if you're listening right now and you are over 50, maybe over 60, I want you to pause and ask yourself, have I stopped believing that intimacy is possible for me? Have I allowed society to convince me that sex after menopause is over? Have I given up on my body, on my skin, on my own postmenopausal vitality? If you answered yes to even one of those questions, then this conversation is for you. Because what you are about to learn is not just science, it is a roadmap to reclaiming your energy, your sensuality, and your joy. We will talk about why vaginal atrophy is not just aging, but something you can heal, how postmenopause sex drive can be restored naturally, why pelvic floor therapy and gentle intimacy practices are the foundation of health after 60, how nutrition, lifestyle, and emotional self-care can reignite your feminine vitality. And most importantly, we will talk about why this chapter of your life is not about decline. It is about rebirth. There is a new definition of aging gracefully. You see, aging gracefully is not about shrinking, hiding, or accepting decline. Aging gracefully means stepping into a deeper wisdom, a fuller self-awareness, and yes, an intimacy that is more soulful, more meaningful, and more powerful than anything you may have experienced in your youth. Think about it. When you were in your 20s, intimacy may have been about curiosity, attraction, or even insecurity. But after 50, after 60, intimacy can be about confidence, depth, self-love, and true connection. This is the upgrade that postmenopause brings. Not the end, not a fading away, but a transformation. So, as we begin this journey together, I want you to hold one truth close to your heart. There is no expiration date on your body's capacity for love, intimacy, and pleasure. Not at 50, not at 60, not at 70, not ever. You deserve to feel alive. You deserve to feel connected. You deserve to wake up every day with the confidence that your body is still beautiful, still feminine, still vibrant. And in the next chapters, I will show you exactly how to make that possible. Because this is not the end of your story. This is your awakening. If this video resonated with you, if it made you feel seen, supported, or simply reminded you that you're not alone, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need this too. Together, we can break the silence around women's health and create a space where every woman feels safe, heard, and empowered. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel for trusted, in-depth guidance on vaginal wellness and women's health, because your body deserves to be understood, not overlooked. I'll see you in the next episode of Alive Again with Dr. Emily, where healing begins and strength returns. You are not alone, and you never have to heal in silence.